Hello Games Committee and welcome to Blue Fire, any percent, no major glitches. This game is a 3D Metroidvania with like a Wind Waker aesthetic. The category we're playing is no major glitches, so there are some glitches that we allow and they look cool and they save some time, but we won't be doing anything drastic like going out of bounds or deloading or anything like that. But before we talk about the game anymore, we're just gonna hop right into it. So I'm gonna delete my save file, and then I'm going to do a little glitch that allows me to skip the starting cutscene. So time would start when I select the difficulty, which is now, and I'm gonna mash the escape key on my keyboard, and this brings up the menu so that I can quit out of the cutscene. Now, for leaderboard purposes, this would be slower because it starts the in-game timer, which is what we normally go by. But for RTA, for marathon settings, this lets us skip a minute-long cutscene, which is a good thing. Now, our character spawning in, this is Umbra, and we're going to start dashing right away. What you're going to notice right away is that all of our movement, we're going to try and be dashing wherever we can, and optimizing these dashes by jumping before we dash. This means we don't collide with anything on the ground, and also it's faster. I'm also going to slash my sword whenever I'm falling from a great height, and this just helps me get back to the ground a little faster so I can start dashing again. For this arena fight, we're going to try and get these enemies to group up so I can take them down all at once. So hopefully these slugs group up behind me, and they did. That was a pretty good fight. Now I'm going to open these chests with a series of inputs that allows me to move after opening them, which you normally cannot do. So it may look like I didn't open up that second chest, but I did, and now we're going to save and quit. The two items we picked up there are the shield, which allows us to block and parry at the cost of some mana, and then we also grabbed an old key, which we're going to use to open up a door. That door is going to take us to our first major sequence break, where we're going to grab a movement ability far earlier than what the game intends. We're going to do this by abusing the mechanics of dashing to enemies that are above your head. So we're going to dash over here, gonna go get a little slug friend to attach to our head, bring the slug up here, and then by targeting the slug, dashing to it, and then untargeting, we get far more height than intended. And now we are entering our first void of the game, our only void. These are like obstacle courses that test your skill with the game's movement. When you complete them, you increase your max health. This is the only void we're going to be doing though, so we will be doing the entire game with a max health of 5. Just to put that in perspective for you, a casual playthrough, you can get a max HP of 20. This is going to make some of the end game bosses pretty difficult. It means we can only really survive 1 or 2 hits, depending on the attack and the boss. And we only do this void because it's mandatory unless you have out-of-bounds glitches, which is out of scope for this category. But here we've completed the void. Our max health goes up to 5, which will be our max health for the remainder of the run. Now that movement ability we grabbed up in the rafters, I didn't explain yet. We have it, but we don't have it equipped yet. In order to equip it, we have to go to a fire shrine. So we're going to make our way over there now. This next room coming up has a timed door puzzle, so essentially we just have to get to the door before it closes. We're going to make use of another slug friend. A camera. Okay, good. Now, this starts a timed puzzle. I don't think the devs thought about this box when they made this, because you could trivialize the entire timed puzzle. Normally you're supposed to go around the other edge of the room, but I'm not complaining. Okay, we barely made that jump. And now we are heading to the first fire shrine. These act as save points. You can equip spirits here, they restore your health. You can increase your mana, which we're not going to do. And the ability we got is a double dash. You can see the recharge timer for our double dash on the left side of the screen. the little teardrop. This is going to allow us to sequence break even more. Now, to get to the next area, we have to hit 2 levers in order to open up the gate. Have 1 more lever to go. Funny thing is, when you hit these levers, for some reason, it refills your dashes, so that's convenient. And that's actually where the game teaches you about dashing to things that are above you. So that is an intended mechanic. You're going to notice that a lot of doors in this game open from top to bottom. So we're going to try and gain height wherever possible so we can jump over the door as it's opening, because waiting for it to open is slow. Now we are entering the Arcane tunnels. Almost immediately we're going to be doing a skip here involving a coyote jump. It's pretty precise, so it could take a couple of tries. But we got it first try, so as long as we don't dunk into the slime here. Okay, that's great. And now we're gonna grab this fire shrine. We're grabbing this one purely for fast traveling at the end of the game. And then we're gonna go grab our first weapon upgrade. So I open that chest once again with inputs that allow me to move after I interact with it. If I happen to get the dialogue box while I'm over the slime, I will just plunge straight into it. But now we're gonna grab our second and final spirit of the run. If you fall directly into the slime, it's faster because you spawn back at the top. This is a kind of challenging to land on. But this is the aerial Ratale. Shoutouts to my Ratales. We can't equip that just yet, but we will in a bit. It increases our damage while we're airborne. Dashing through here is a little perilous. You have to carefully manage your dashes and avoid the spikes. I'm just gonna take it real carefully. Luckily they don't do much damage. They're just annoying. And now we're gonna talk to Orip. Orip is offering to repair the elevator if we pay him. However, we don't have the money, so he offers to repair it anyway if we promise to pay him double later, which we're not gonna do. I did it in my casual playthrough though, so it's fine. In this next area, because we have the double dash, we're now able to perform another sequence break and get a very powerful ability much earlier than intended. So we're gonna go over here and hit this lever. These little green guys, they explode when they get close to you. Kind of like creepers. But much cuter in my opinion. We're gonna dash across this pipe, which we were able to get to because of our double dash. And if we're lucky, which we are not, normally there should be a green guy that spawns there, but he can spawn out of range. Okay, so that's our backup. That's fine that we got hit there. So with better RNG, we could have gotten up from the other side and saved maybe 5 seconds, but that's fine. Now we are going to showcase parrying. We do get a small damage boost after a successful parry. We got both of our parries there. And another. And we got all of our parries. So now we are going to grab the Whirlwind Hook. This item is incredibly powerful. We're gonna accidentally plunge into the slime, that's fine. This is good for combat and for mobility. So if we charge our attack, we get a spin slash, which acts as another jump. It also does a ton of damage in combat. And there's also an unintended thing you can do with it, where you can fast climb a ladder. And this is very helpful because the normal ladder climbing animation is incredibly slow. So pretty much at all times we're going to want to have one of these charged up just in case we need an extra jump or if we need to fast climb a ladder. That's never happened before. Wow. Luckily we spawned right outside the door. We're gonna get over this door and make our way to the first dungeon. Gonna charge up a spin slash, do a couple of dashes, and here we're going to equip our arrow Ratale. Now you may have seen that we can move after we open chests. We can also do the same thing with levers. So we're gonna showcase that now. Normally when you hit this lever, you are stuck in place while the gate opens, but we're able to move during it, which is why we get the funny zoomed out angle. This will not be the only time that we move during a cutscene. I will, however, note that it is technically illegal to move if the timer is paused. We can only move in cutscenes where the timer is not paused. And now we're going to grab this item. This forest shrine, it does have like water temple reminiscent mechanics. Luckily we are able to circumvent most of those by hitting that lever first, which lowers the water all the way. We're gonna skip the animation once again and open this door while the gate is still opening. Now we have a couple of arena fights. We're gonna try our best to get them to group up, but these enemies move at different speeds, so it doesn't always work out. Great. And there's also some RNG with the Whirlwind Hook on how many hits you'll land on an enemy based on the animation they're doing and stuff like that. This can affect boss cycles too. But other than that, there's not much RNG in this game. Once again, we're going to try and get these two to group up. Hopefully they'll both go for an attack on me. Okay, they did. And charge up. Unfortunately, the second one stopped moving, but it's fine. Now we have a holy key. We're going to use this to get what the game intends to be your first movement ability. However, if you're keeping count, we already have 2, so this will be our 3rd. So the item we've just grabbed is Melissa's Claws. These allow you to wall jump and wall run, which is very useful on its own. But just like the Whirlwind Hook, there's also something unintended we're going to be doing with them, but you won't see that until the second dungeon. So we're going to drop down here, we're going to make sure we don't get hit by the shockwave and knocked into the water. And we're going to start another time puzzle, or another time door puzzle. So this one is kind of funny as well because we trivialize it a lot. If you target this enemy up in the air, you can just dash up like this, and I don't know why they let you dash that high, but I'm not complaining. And then this is a cool bit of movement here to get to this lever. After we hit this lever, we're going to wait for the triple head thing to attack so that we don't get hit. Unfortunately, we blocked on the corruption, which does happen sometimes. Jump over the attack. Okay. And now we have another old key. This is going to let us get the final holy key of this dungeon and head to the final boss of this dungeon. That enemy behind me can hit me while I'm opening this gate. It has happened. It's just very rude, honestly. Okay, so now we are heading to the first boss of the game. This boss is a little challenging, as you'll see in a moment. So this is Guardian Grub. And say goodbye to Guardian Grub, because that gate has very little collision for some reason. The side effect of not defeating Guardian Gra is that the health bar is going to stay there for until the next time we save and quit, which isn't until much later in the run. So get familiar with Guardian Gra. And now we are going to make our way to the second dungeon, but first we have to go get a key. This game really loves its keys. We're gonna fast climb up this ladder, dash over here, and then we're gonna go talk to Bramer, who is going to give us the graveyard key. And we're gonna try and do a cool little trick that only saves like a second. We're gonna try and cling to this, and then cool, we did it. Wall clinging on that door is kind of difficult, and sometimes you end up just bonking on the ledge instead and taking fall damage. Now we have some movement to get to the second dungeon. Those floating heads you see there, they're really annoying. We hate them. They freeze you into a block of ice, typically while you're above the water. Oh, and that's why the Whirlwind Hook is useful to save yourself if you're a little off on your movement. Okay, I mentioned earlier an unintended mechanic with wall climbing and wall running. You're going to see a very quick example of that here in a second, and then you'll see more of it throughout the dungeon, so if you don't catch it the first time, it's okay. We're going to get this key first. We're going to target this enemy. I might have been too close. Nope, that's fine. And that wall jump I did right there, you're not supposed to gain that much height off of wall jumps. So we call those Moonjumps. They're done with a series of inputs. For this category, we do allow binding multiple buttons to multiple inputs to a single button, provided that those inputs happen simultaneously, just to make it easier to perform some of these tricks. So that's called a Moonjump. We're going to be using those in any situation where we want to gain a ton of height. They do still use stamina though, so the most we can do is 4, but getting 4 Moonjumps is difficult because it requires perfect use of your stamina. We're gonna move over here and get this key, and then do some more Moonjumps. We're gonna get our next weapon upgrade, the Peacekeepers, close the chest, equip our weapons, and then do some more Moonjumps. And then we're gonna start this next arena fight. This arena fight is different because it has enemies that are above our head, and they're very finicky to target if there are also enemies on the ground. Luckily, I have a setup. And then we're just gonna try and be above the slugs because they can't hit us if we're above. And that was a very clean fight. So now we're gonna get this holy key, which we're gonna use to grab our next movement ability. It's everybody's favorite Metroidvania ability, the ability to double jump. It feels less exciting once you have the ability to moonjump, but it's still very useful. And then we just have 2 more keys to grab before we can go to the boss of this dungeon. That's one of them right there. And once we get to that waterfall, we have some cool movement coming up. So we're going to dash, jump, and then Whirlwind Hook to grab this key. That prevents us from having to do any wall running, which is typically slower. And then we're heading to the second boss. Because Guardian Gra's health bar is still up, we are going to see a little, like, it's gonna look weird because they're gonna overlay each other. This boss is named Guardian Crow. Guardian Crow can be very mean to us. Sometimes it'll let us one cycle his first phase, sometimes it won't. It's just RNG as far as I can tell. Okay, this is very good. So he did let us one cycle his phase 1. Sometimes he will decide just to burrow instantly after taking damage, and he can do that multiple times in a row. Luckily he did not. He could do that for this phase as well. It's not as big of a deal if he does it on this phase. So of course he did do it. But we just have to walk over him and make him unburrow, and that is Guardian Crow. But Guardian Gruz health bar remains. Now once you defeat the boss and skip this cutscene, the game is kind enough to teleport you to the entrance of the dungeon, and we now have the Temple of God's Key, which is located in sort of like the... to me, I think of it as like the hub for the endgame. It goes to a whole bunch of different areas. The enemies we fight there are going to be more dangerous in general. They deal more damage, they are faster, they have more health, some of them can teleport. They're just all around more dangerous. Now we're going to charge up a spin attack and then try to double jump over this so we can get over it as soon as possible, and set ourselves up for some moon jumps up this wall so that we don't have to navigate the long path. And because this is the side we need to end up on anyway. Now we're going to trigger this cutscene, and then we're going to swing our sword so that we can charge our spin attack while opening this gate. And you can see some of these tall doors, it saves a significant amount of time to be jumping over them like this. This is Vaughn. That door across the hallway leads to the final boss of the game. We cannot open it yet. We learn that we have to defeat 3 Shadow Lords. We also gain the ability to fast travel from Vaughn. So the next segment of the run is going to involve unlocking the various Shadow Lords, and then we fight them in fairly rapid succession, with the final Shadow Lord taking us directly into the final boss fight. Each Shadow Lord has their own requirements in order to unlock them, so that's what we're going to start working on now. We're going to moon jump up this pillar so that we can grab this rose, and then we have a lot of moon jumping to get up this tower. The first set is very easy because it only requires 3 moon jumps, but the next 2 require 4 moon jumps, which requires perfect management of your stamina, or nearly perfect. That unlocks a fire shrine, but we're not going to go grab it yet. This might not be it now. Like I said, managing your stamina doing these is tricky. Okay, we got it. And then the last one is pretty simple, it's just 3 moon jumps. And now we learn about the Vessel of Souls. These are just essentially orbs scattered all across the level. You have to collect them to finish the Vessel of Souls. There are 4 of these throughout the game that we have to do, and that unlocks one of the Shadow Lords. So we're gonna run around collecting orbs. And we're just gonna essentially try to grab all of these without falling or getting off of our route. We're gonna grab that fire shrine that we unlocked earlier because it is the most convenient time to grab it, and we need it to fast travel to it later. If we have 4 orbs by this point, then we are on track. And then we've got a very long jump. And we're gonna make our way inside the tower. Grab this orb down here, and then work our way back around the outside of the tower. We're gonna do a couple of moon jumps here. And then this one is cool because you really need to maximize your abilities in order to grab that in one go. You need to avoid these enemies so that we do not dunk into the water. And then we just have one more orb to go. And that's it for the first Vessel of Souls. Now we're gonna jump off the tower. So 4 Vessels of Souls is a requirement for one of the Shadow Lords. We need to start fulfilling the requirements for the other Shadow Lords as well. So this elevator is going to take us down into the waterways. The waterways contains 4 buttons. Each button can only be accessed from a certain area in the game, and when you activate the button, you light up one of these torches, and you open up the associated gate. So in a casual playthrough, this is also nice just because as you open up 2 or more, it makes it easier to get around the game. We're going to skip this cutscene and deliberately dunk into the water because it's faster than walking back to the elevator. And then take the elevator back up. And now we have 1 button finished and 1 Vessel of Souls. We're going to go work on our second Vessel of Souls. The second Vessel of Souls is located back in the Temple Gardens. The movement for this one, we make use of a lot of fast climbs for this one. This area has so many ladders. But the Whirlwind Hook is not our only way to fast climb ladders. There's another unintended thing we can do with a wall climb. If the ladder has a wall behind it, with a series of inputs, we can do a fast climb as well, which is very useful if you don't have a Whirlwind Hook charged up. But here we're going to get a Whirlwind Hook charged up to fast climb this ladder, and then fast climb up that ladder with wall run, and again. This is one of those enemies that can teleport. We're gonna try not to get blown up by that enemy. Drop down here, dash through the sphere, cancel our fall damage, and fast climb back up. And then we're gonna grab this orb, and then go to the center and start working on the other side of the stage. Dash off here so we can dash back to the ladder as we're grabbing the orb. Fast climb, cut across here, get ready to fast climb again, and another one. And now we've got a very long jump over here. And then for the final orb, we just have to drop down. And that is Vessel of Souls number 2. Now we're going to head over to what every good Zelda-like game needs, a lava area. We take this elevator down. This elevator's existence is very easy to miss in your casual playthrough. I know I got stuck for a long time. But now we are in Firefall River. This area is very dangerous. Not only because of the lava, but because of some of the enemies, and we just need to make sure we are using our movement wisely. So the enemy I hate the most resides in this area. It is, I call it a lava worm. They're very shy and dangerous, as you will see in just a moment. So as we jump across here, you're going to see the first one. When we get close to them, they get scared and hide. But they have an incredibly dangerous ranged attack. It deals a ton of damage and it's very accurate. You can hear one popping out of the lava now. And I'm going to deliberately dunk into the lava after hitting that lever so that we can teleport back up here to press another button in the waterways. So for those keeping track, that puts us at 2 Vessels of Souls complete and 2 of the torches in the waterways. Going to head back out the way we came in. and we're going to head towards the third vessel of souls. And here is the location of the third vessel. This one, rather than fast climbs, I just have to be more mindful of my Whirlwind Hook, so I can use it for extra height in some places to get by a little faster. We're also going to have to dodge a lava worm that has killed me on this portion a couple times. So we're going to make sure we're at full health just in case. And the Whirlwind Hook lets me land on that rock instead of going around. I'm going to grab this orb and then drop back down to where we hit the lever earlier. You can hear one of the worms unburrowing, trying to shoot me. This is the danger point where it can get me. It's not quite out of the woods yet. Okay. Well, we didn't get hit, but we do need to drop back down. Luckily, it's directly underneath us. We really didn't lose any time. And then we just have 2 more orbs to grab. Okay, that makes 3 of the 4 Vessels of Souls complete. You may have noticed that we haven't talked about the requirements for the other Shadow Lord at all. We're gonna go do all of those for the 3rd Shadow Lord now. And you may notice a bunch of NPCs and other, like, villages and stuff that I'm not interacting with. This game has so much to it. It's really a hidden gem of a game, I think. I highly recommend playing it if you haven't. It's so good. We're gonna fast climb up this ladder. That's kind of a tricky jump to make. And then we're going to drop down. Avoid the lava pulses from that guy. And now we're gonna go meet our next NPC. We open this door and we get a little cutscene, and you can see down there, that is Mira. Mira is going to tell us that the elevator is broken and that the boilers need to be repaired in order for it to work again. Her sister is working on that, but she hasn't seen her for a while. So she's gonna give us a Steam key. And we're gonna go grab this fire shrine, and then we're gonna go find her sister Mia. This enemy can't hit us while we're opening this door. It's very rude when it happens. I'm gonna hop on this torch and then do a bunch of Moonjumps. This is pretty precise. Okay, good. We landed where we needed to go. This is definitely not the intended way to do this room, but the intended way to do this room is to stand on a bunch of slow-moving platforms like this and jump off of them and navigate around enemies before the platform dips back into the lava. And that's just incredibly slow. Now we're gonna try and dodge that. Good. And this is Mia. She is going to give us a new sword upgrade. It is stronger, but we're not going to use it for combat at all. However, we are going to use them to repair boilers, as one does. And we're doing something here called boiler glitch. If we jump outside of the interaction zone as we interact with the boiler, we can interact with it again. And this makes this one boiler count as 2 of the 3 boilers we need to repair. This is extremely convenient because the 3rd boiler is way more out of the way than the first 2. And once we finish the cutscene for the first boiler, we do regain control of our character while we're in the cutscene for the second activation. So it just kind of looks funny with that camera angle while we're moving. And this is the second boiler. I'm very thankful we don't have to go to the 3rd boiler. Once we finish this cutscene, we are going to save and quit, which means we will be saying goodbye to Guardian Gra. But he lives on because we technically never killed him. So we save and quit to take us back to the fire shrine we grabbed next to Mira. And we're gonna get a cutscene that we're gonna skip with the elevator repaired. We can make our way into Rust Village. Now our goals for Rust Village, we have two of them. One is to get the Key of Ember so that we can fight the first Shadow Lord. And then we're gonna help somebody find true love. Hopefully. So this is Barry. You may remember that we grabbed a rose earlier. Barry wants this rose for his crush. So we're gonna give him the rose and he's gonna tell us to come back later and see how it goes. I always get stuck on that door. We go over here, we activate a cutscene. We have to wait for the Key of Ember pop-up to come up, otherwise if we save and quit before that, we can hard lock our game. And then we're gonna save and quit and go back into the town and see if Barry was successful. Jumping through the pipes there is faster. I've never had that happen before though. That was a funky camera angle. But now we're gonna go check in on Barry. And it turns out it worked. And not only that, but Barry has a kid now. So he's gonna give up fighting and give us his weapons. This is our final weapon upgrade for the run. There are stronger weapons available, however, the time it takes to get them for the damage upgrade is just not worth it. There's one in that town, actually, but you need like 3 wallet upgrades just to be able to have the ability to carry enough money to buy it, so it's just not worth it. But now we are entering the door to the hallway that leads to our first Shadow Lord. So we're going to have to use all of our movement abilities to get across this gap. We're going to skip the cutscenes, and this is Lord Sirion. For me personally, he is the most difficult of the Shadow Lords. Dodge the first attack, dodge the second, and then the third one we're just going to block because it's easier. And then we one cycle his first phase. Phase 2 is, for me, the most difficult phase. He summons this giant Beyblade, and he's going to shoot a boomerang projectile at us. He also moves around the arena randomly, so the fight is not consistent. But that should be a 1 cycle on phase 2. Phase 3 is also dangerous and very hard to 1 cycle. We probably won't get the 1 cycle on this. It's kind of RNG dependent. He's gonna drop bombs. And then he's gonna go into his attacks from the first phase. That's not good. We're just gonna try and get some damage in. Without the spin attack charge, we cannot get the 1 cycle. Should be able, okay, yeah. So we're kind of able to just face tank his attacks there in order to finish off the fight. And then we have a very long death animation followed by some dialogue. There is a way to translate this in-game somehow, I believe. People have translated it on the Discord for this game. But once we finish that, there's a portal that spawns. We're not going to take it, we're just going to save and quit because it saves us from watching a 15 to 20 second cutscene. Normally that cutscene would just show you the door to the final boss, and you would see a sigil corresponding to the Shadow Lord about lighting up to represent that you've defeated that Shadow Lord. But we're going to save and quit and work on the requirements for the second Shadow Lord. If you'll remember, we were at 3 out of 4 Vessels of Souls complete. The final Vessel of Souls is located at the starting area, so it's kind of like a little trip down memory lane. I love when games do this. You get to go back to the starting area with all your upgraded equipment. Even in the run, the speed run, it's just satisfying to return here. We're gonna jump on this gate. And then a fun thing we can do, if we stand in between the lever and the door, we can start the opening of the door while the gate is still opening. I technically have the ability to move right now, but the timer is paused, so that would be against the rules of the run. I'm gonna grab this orb. Make our way down here to where we got our shield. Start. And then we're going to double jump and do our Whirlwind Hook so that we can get up here. And we go around here, grab this orb, charge up our Whirlwind Hook, try to land on this torch, and do some Moonjumps. There are very specific parts of some walls that do not like to let you Moonjump on them. I don't know why. But anyway, we are heading towards where we first spawned in at the start of the game. And then we're going to make our way to where we got the double dash ability early. And then for the final orb, we're going to go into a room we have not seen. Excuse me. Accidentally bonk into the corruption. And then praise the sun. I love that room, it's beautiful. But this fulfills all of the requirements for the second Shadow Lord, so we're going to save and quit again. And we are going to fast travel to Abandoned Path. So here we go. I'll make sure we go to the right place. Some fun movement to get up to the boss door. I'm gonna do a couple of Moonjumps. Do one more just to be safe, and fast climb up this ladder. And then you can get to this door before this point, but if you haven't activated all the Vessels of Souls, then you cannot open the door. Now we have 3 long hallways that lead up to this boss. These bosses really like their overly long hallways. Trying to jump over this door. And this is the final hallway. And now we're gonna fight Lady Bera, who I think is the second most difficult of the Shadow Lords. That attack in particular does a ton of damage, about half of our health. We get to retreat from her until this attack ends. And then hopefully one cycle this. Nope. This is fine though. Okay. Not the best, but it's fine. We're gonna get 3 free hits on her on this phase 2 before she actually goes into her attack. We're just gonna dash towards her. 1, 2, 3, and then we back off. We heal, charge up our spin slash, and then phase 2 is easy as that. You just jump off the ground before the explosion. Dodging these icicles for phase 3 is very difficult. Okay, and now she's just gonna repeat her attack from phase 2. And then we should be able to finish her off right here. And that's the end of Lady Vera. That fight gets kind of scary sometimes if she dashes out of your target range, because then you're not sure exactly where she is, and that did happen during that attempt. But luckily we handled it just fine. Once again, we're going to avoid taking the portal to avoid another cutscene. But after this, we just, if you're keeping track, we have the 2 buttons left in the waterways, and then we can fight our final Shadow Lord. We save and quit once again for the final time in the run. And now we are going to return to the Arcane tunnels. Luckily, both buttons are located relatively close to each other. We're just going to dash over here. Technically, we could have gone into this room before, but we didn't have the item needed to activate these buttons. We obtained that in the Temple of Gods. So this is button number 3. It always bugs me that we don't light those torches up in order. And then the 4th button is going to be over this way. We're going to take a left, jump over the very slow opening door, jump onto this pillar, manage our jumps very carefully. Now we're just going to take this guy out for safety, and this starts a timed puzzle to get over to that gate before it closes again. This is mostly just about managing your dashes and jumps, so that you don't run out and duck into the slime. And this tunnel just takes us directly to the next button. And with that, we've satisfied the requirements for the final Shadow Lord. All 4 torches have been lit. If you're wondering what's in this chest that spawns right here, it's just a tunic. The tunics in this game are all purely cosmetic. Some of them look really cool, but they don't offer any benefit in any way. So unfortunately, we did not grab them in this run. And then we're going to dash all the way down this very long hallway, set of stairs. And this should be the easiest Shadow Lord. So for phase 1, we're just gonna brute force damage tank. Well, that's not gonna anymore. That's fine. We just damage tank him basically. And that's phase 1. For phase 2, we just have to run around in a circle, and he cannot hit us. And he's gonna reappear. We block this attack. We don't want to perfectly parry it because it can soft lock your game. And then we have to run around in a circle again. Block once again. and that should end phase 2. Now he's going to attack the entire platform at once. He's going to do that 3 times and then go into his previous attack. We run around in circles. Get ready to attack him as soon as he appears. And we one-cycled his final phase. And that's it. I think he's much easier because you can kind of just disregard a lot of what he does. This time we are going to take the portal that spawns because it does bring us almost directly to the queen fight. And you're going to notice a funny little side effect of skipping the portals for the other 2 Shadow Lords. As I mentioned before, you get a cutscene of their respective sigil lighting up above the Queen's door. However, because we didn't take the portals for the other 2, their sigils don't light up. But it's fine, it still counts. The door will still open for us. I think the devs just didn't expect you to ever save and quit before taking that portal. So the doors are going to open up now. We have 2 hallways that lead into the Queen's fight. Queen's fight is a lot. There are 4 phases. We're going to try and carefully manage our damage in phase 3 so that we can maximize and have as little HP left in phase 4 as possible. I'm explaining this now because it's going to be difficult to explain it while actually performing the fight. Phase 2, we are hoping for a 1 cycle, but we're not guaranteed to get a 1 cycle. Phase 1 is relatively simple. She's just going to place bombs at our location, and we're going to place them so that they don't hurt us. And this is the most difficult fight in the game. And this is Queen. We're going to charge up our Spin Slash and just place these bombs alternating between the floor and above us. And then she's going to expand this dome. We have to jump off. If you hit it, she does not become vulnerable. And then we're going to dash back and repeat. As far as I know, you cannot 1 cycle her first phase. Repeat again. Jump off. As you can see, at a certain point, it cuts off my damage. Now she's going to throw projectiles at us while we have to avoid these rings. The number of attacks she does for each phase is random. I have to jump off again, and this time there are pillars of light. Though the placement of those can get very mean. We did get lucky and 1 cycle her second phase. Now she is going to spawn duplicates of herself. The real one has wings, as you will see in just a second, and there are also audio keys to clue you in on which one is the real one. Okay, we don't want to deal any more damage than that. Okay, that's pretty good health management for her 4th phase. We're gonna block that. She's gonna teleport again. And that's Queen. That was a really good fight, and that's a pretty decent time. Not a PB, but still a good time. Yeah, that is Queen. I think this game is great. I really hope you consider it for... it's just like a hidden gem. The movement and the glitches are really cool. The boss fights are really intense with only 5 HP. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good night. Bye.